Now, another hallmark of the Haskalah was a total rejection of Jewish politics as it was practiced up to that time. That is, a rejection of this whole notion of the Kahal, this whole notion of Jewish autonomy, of Jews being governed by a separate Jewish law, by this idea of a committee of oligarchs and rabbis running the Jewish community. Instead, as Moses Mendelssohn made clear in Jerusalem, his great masterpiece, the Jews should turn into a totally voluntary association. The Jews, in other words, should disappear as a political entity, as a legal entity. Their organization should be based on private association. And the leaders of the Jews should be educated intellectuals. You'll recall the last lines of Yehuda Leib Gordon's Awake My People. Be a man in the street and a Jew at home. In the street, you're like everybody else. Your Jewishness is your private life, your private affair. By all means, if you want to, join a synagogue, join a Hebrew discussion group, read a Hebrew newspaper. But legally, politically, you're not a Jew. Now, fast forwarding a bit, to some degree, Zionism was an outgrowth of the Haskalah. In another way, Zionism was a real revolt against the Haskalah. And one of the great achievements of the Balfour Declaration in 1917 is that, in a sense, the Balfour Declaration was the first concrete step in restoring the Jewish people to the realm of politics and international law. That is, the Jewish people as such were recognized as a legal, political, international entity, and in the San Remo Accords, which gave Palestine to Britain as a mandate in 1920, the implementation of the Balfour Declaration was regarded as a basic condition. But the Haskalah wanted to take Jews out of the explicit public realm and believed that this would be good for the Jewish people. Another aspect of the Haskalah was the call for a total revolution of Jewish economics. The Maskilim were very leery of the Jews' role as moneylenders, hucksters, peddlers, merchants. The Maskilim, as I said, wanted not just vocational education, but they wanted Jews who would be farmers, who would work with their hands, who would make things. The Haskalah had this fetish with productivity, defined as manual labor. And again, you see this theme in Yehuda Leib Gordon. Learn a skill, be a farmer. Now, the fact is that as German Jews integrated and changed in the course of the 19th century, most of them did not become farmers or shoemakers. They entered the professional middle classes or the merchant classes. But this hope and this great regard for the notion of the productive Jew working with his hands is taken over lock, stock, and barrel by labor Zionism and achieves a new life in the Israeli kibbutz. Another feature of the Haskalah was a very critical rethinking of the role of Jewish women. The Maskilic belief was that the whole organization of the Jewish family was an abomination. Children were oppressed, women were oppressed, marriage, the way it worked in the Jewish world, was god-awful, where people were paired off with each other on the basis of economic considerations, family convenience. The Maskilim believed in romantic love. They believed that marriage should be based on some kind of emotional attachment. And ironically, their view of Jewish women's role is a view that would not be shared by many feminists today. In other words, the Maskilim, buying into a common 19th century cultural conceit, saw the woman as the guardian of the private sphere, the woman as the guardian of the home, the woman as a feminine anchor of raising children, of ensuring a peaceful household, of being part of a division of labor where men worked and where women took care of the home. So this notion of the woman in the Vilna fish market who utters a string of incredibly creative Yiddish curses and who gets into fights with the peddler in the next stall, this is to be replaced by a vision of the European middle-class woman.